Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm back on the Grand Prix circuit on Race Island because I'm going to be making a race car. The initial plan for this was to make a cool looking race car and then stuff the gearbox inside it, but unfortunately there is about 25 spaces to put logic gates in this chassis, whereas the gearbox, even if you remove the outboard motor and its accompanying RPM logic, the damn thing still exceeds 40 logic gates. So instead, the gimmick for this car is that it has mouse controlled steering, and today I'm going to show you how I made it. I started at the back, specifically the tail of the car, which tapers inwards from the roof and rear wheels to the ground simultaneously. From there I placed the rear wing and connected everything together using a double T tube piece, which I disguised as exhaust pipes using tiny cannons. They would sneak towards an initially ill-placed engine that I would model after the Type 912 engine found in a Porsche 917, which is what I decided to base this car's design off of. After finally realizing there was no way I could feasibly fit the engine behind the rear axle, I moved it forward to its final position in front of the rear axle instead, which ended up also being directly behind the seat. To entertain myself with the progress I had made, I added a second axle, making quite possibly the shortest wheelbase I have ever made, and fooled around before extending the wheelbase to the length I wanted the car to be and deciding I had enough and went to bed. The next day, I got right to work by developing mouse-controlled steering. This went through several iterations that all conformed to either using an angle sensor or distance sensors, but eventually I settled on this design that angles the aiming servo slightly to allow it to actually function, so I don't have to use a compass. A small detection range equal to the steering angle running through a signal amplifier to compensate for the fact that steering hinge output still isn't linear but instead exponential to input strength allows me to smoothly steer with my mouse without running the risk of entering an overcorrection feedback loop that you'd get from just putting aiming servos directly onto the front wheels. With that done, it's time to style the body. First came the nose. Then the cockpit. And then finally the sides, which, all things considered, were pretty simple and plagued with a similar issue to the failed touring car styled brick that I tried to squeeze the manual gearbox into, but the rest of the car was complex enough in shape, so it provided a nice contrast. Eventually though, the time will come to paint. For this livery, I initially wanted to go with the same scheme as my company, hence the orange and white racing outfit, but I settled on a better idea, namely to take inspiration from this decal recently added to Rocket League. The lack of multi-layer decals, Johannes please fix, proved this to be quite a challenge. with time and some compromise, I finally finished it, and so here we are. I've made a good looking endurance racer that has mouse controlled steering and goes like stink with almost no problems. I say that because sometimes the uncomfortable weight shift coupled with micro disturbances thanks to the trike glitching causes it to fall over sometimes, but that's unavoidable at this point. Drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and stay tuned for a sequel where I make a truck for it. See you there.